right, so good afternoon, everyone, and thanks very much for joining us. My name is Lynn McDonough-Hughes with TIANS, and we're very pleased to be offering this series of webinars in partnership with Tourism Nova Scotia. So before we begin, I would like to respectfully acknowledge that we live and work on the unceded territory of the people. These lands are governed by the treaties of peace and friendship first signed in 1726. We also recognize and honor the more than 400-year legacy of the African descent in Nova Scotia and offer gratitude to the ancestors who came before us. So joining us today is Thomas Rizzuto. Thomas is a cybersecurity specialist with online computer services, a longstanding Nova Scotia-based IT provider serving the tourism, hospitality, and small business sector for over 34 years. So welcome, Thomas. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Hope everyone had a great long weekend. Thank you for being here. I'm going to share my screen out here. And hopefully everyone can see that all right. Perfect. Okay. So like Lynn said, my name's Thomas. I'm from Online Computer Services. We're an IT provider here based in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We serve all sorts of businesses, a lot in the hospitality sector specifically. Today's session, hello, my name is AI, is the absolute bare fundamentals of AI. You've probably been hearing a lot about AI, but you really just don't understand it, don't know what it means, and you just want to get your feet wet, maybe just a little bit, and that's what we're going to go for today. If you have at all tried AI before, you're probably going to find a lot of this very bland and fundamental. So I take no offense if you want to skip out, but we're just here to get your toes wet and get you started. So what is AI? AI is artificial intelligence. I know everyone's probably seen A Space Odyssey and they know of HAL and they think of AI as this large gloom and doom kind of thing, but AI has been here for a while. It's essentially some really smart math. It's algorithms. We've figured out a way to get a computer to accomplish a task that would otherwise require a human to do it. Some AI, and typically the AI we've been seeing in the past, has been very specialized. Here are some examples. So if you have a newer car, if you have automatic high beams, that's actually AI. You have a camera that looks for other oncoming cars, and it'll dim your high beams. Personalized recommendations on social media, streaming platforms, email spam detection. We all hate getting spam, and AI has been really helpful in that way. Self-driving cars, it's a very specific type of AI, but it is a very advanced type. A couple other things here, the advanced robots. We've all seen the walking dog from Boston Dynamics. That's AI. There's lots of different categories of AI. Given that, why this craze all of a sudden for AI? Everyone seems to be going crazy. It's everywhere. It's the buzzword. The important part, the keyword here is generative AI, meaning that we have reached a point where AI is able to create a large variety of things, of media, of text, of audio, of music, and it takes very little input from you to do these things. So some quick facts before we get too far into it, because some people have these questions and it's totally fair. AI does not have feelings. You can't hurt its feelings. Some people worry about offending the AI. It can pretend to have feelings, but ultimately it doesn't. So that's not something you have to worry about. AI is statistically just trying to guess the best answer to your questions. So you can ask it your questions, but keep in mind that it is not 100% factual. AI is trained on vast amounts of data from many different sources, so journals, books, and I've highlighted the internet there because, as we all know, not everything on the internet is factual, reliable, or a good source of information. So if we have AI that's been trained on this information, there's a chance that it may be regurgitated to you. So you just have to be aware and conscious of these facts when you're using AI. So let's get started. Jumping right in here, some safety tips. So don't ever enter any personal or private information into AI. We'll talk more about this in depth later, but um, when you get output back from AI, always verify and be very cautious of what it's giving you. Be skeptical, just like you would anything on the internet or any document that anyone hands you. Don't take it as gospel. Do your own research on it to ensure that decisions you're making based on this data is true and factual. So AI, like ice cream, there's lots of flavors. There's tons out there. I don't recommend any particular one for a specific reason. You'll see in this presentation, we're using Gemini just because it's very prevalent, very popular. That's not to say you have to. There's lots of different options out there. Pick one. If you don't like it, try another. There are free tiers for a lot of AIs. A lot of companies want to get you in the door so you can see how AI is beneficial to you. And later down the road, you may need to subscribe to it. But for all purposes here today, you would be absolutely best served by using the free version of AI. So the three main contenders when we talk about AI are from Google, and their product would be Gemini, OpenAI, and their product is ChatGPT, and Anthropic makes Claude. So I'm going to post the links for these in the chat just in case you wanted to check them out or even follow along while we go through the presentation here. So they should be in the chat now. Hopefully everyone sees those. So how does AI look? We talk about AI all the time, but nobody can put a face to AI, what it means. So I'll go through the three main contenders that I just mentioned. So here's Gemini. Very simple. People think AI and they imagine all these, the Matrix with the blue backgrounds and everything, but it's quite simple. It's basically a text box. Moving to ChatGPT, same thing. We see a text box here in the middle of the screen. That's it. And there's Claude, again, a text box. The way AI works is through natural language. It expects you to type in what you want to do in natural English language. English, just because that's what we're presenting in today, but AI is capable of being bilingual, trilingual, as many languages as you want. So if you need help converting something from different languages, it can be beneficial in that regard as well. Today, like I mentioned, we're going to focus on using Gemini just because it is quite prevalent, it's widely available, and it's good at doing just a wide variety of tasks. This isn't an endorsement. You're free to use any of the other tools. It's just this one is readily available. So here we are. We're at Gemini. This is it. So in the top right-hand corner of that screenshot there, you'll notice that there's a sign in button. I recommend that everyone sign in to whatever AI they're using for many reasons. The first being that when you sign in, you're getting a history of your conversations. So on the screen here, you can see I've signed in, and on the left side, I have this new chats section. Underneath there are all my previous chats, my historical chats, so that if I have a great long conversation and I got all this valuable data out of it, it's not gone when I close the browser. It's there, and I can go back and refer to it later. When you sign in, AI is also able to learn about you as a person. So you can give it facts about you. You can say, this is my name, this is my occupation, this is my business, this is what my interests are. And that way going forward, there's less repetition. You can just start the conversation as you would expect to be able to with a coworker or a peer that understands who you are. This is the part that most people struggle with is what can I ask AI? What are the questions that it can handle? Anything, absolutely anything. But the important parts are that you are very specific in your questions. If you ask very broad questions, you will get very broad answers. The more detailed, the more specific, the more verbosity you can give, the better results and the more personalized results you're going to get for you. So we'll jump into some examples. This one is really basic, but it's a good way to start with AI. what local free events are happening this week in Halifax, Nova Scotia. This just goes to show that, like the Google web browser or the Google search engine, it can give you details and information that are personal to location or you specifically, or whatever specific detail you need. So we'll pull up the Gemini screen here. I'll play the video. You can see it happen in real time here. It's requesting this from Gemini. The wheel's going to spin a little bit. And there's the answer. That's it. So I did this video this morning just so I could have accurate and up-to-date info. And you can see from February 17th to 23rd, here are all the events. We have the Emera Oval, the Scotiabank Noon Skate, public libraries. So think about, for your business, how could this be applicable? Are you planning for a specific season? Are there specific events that you need to know about? What is it that information that you lack right now that you would otherwise have to spend time going out and procuring and manufacturing yourself, that this could do for you? So it's really just a quick shortcut to getting information that is likely readily available all across the internet, but it cuts that down and it gives you this really concise, filtered output. So in that output, this is the same video that I just showed you there. It's just, I took a screenshot of it. You'll notice that at the end of this sentence, there's a little icon there. Some people may be familiar with that. That's the Haligonia icon, their news publication. If you're to click on that, you'll be shown all the sources on the side. So earlier we talked about not blindly trusting AI, which is very important, but this helps you have a higher degree of confidence that what you're reading and seeing here comes from a verifiable and a good source. So like any good publication, it cites its sources. Down towards the very bottom of the long text there, you can see a sources button that will pop out. The same thing on the side here to show you all the sources that were cited in giving you this information. So really valuable tool to show you exactly where all of this is coming from and whether it's good, true content. So this is another example, and we're going to use some additional tools and different modes. What I just showed you was a very basic, primitive example, but AI has become so much more than that. You've probably seen a lot of AI lately making videos or images of people that are either famous or well-known, of them doing things that you wouldn't expect. It's called deepfakes. Some people may be familiar with it, but AI has become extremely, extremely good at creating images and videos as well. So with that in mind, be skeptical of things you see online because not all of them are true anymore. But that also gives you the opportunity to use these tools to help you. One thing you can do is create images. You can create media. I personally, I cannot draw to save my life. I cannot make anything in Photoshop to save my life. But I can open up AI. I can type in my request. I specifically want a banner for an upcoming event. I can give it the dimensions. I can give it my logo, and it can output an image that may not be perfect, but it's enough to get me going in the right direction. And I can ask AI to iterate on that. What you'll notice with AI is you'll give it a prompt and it will come back with a reply. But at the bottom of your conversation, you'll see there's still a box there waiting for you to give it more input. It is conversational. It wants you to have back and forth with it. So if it gives you an answer that isn't exactly what you were looking for, you can ask it to refine that or go a different direction. So don't be intimidated by the initial response that it gives you. Be willing to ask it for more, for different. If you don't know what direction you want to go in, or you just aren't understanding something, ask it that, tell it that. It will do its very best to give you the information that you need given what you're asking. So this example, we're going to give it some more context. I know we all hate printers because they're all out of ink all the time and they're always breaking. So I have this problem with a specific printer, and I also have the user manual as a PDF. I scanned it. So I'm going to head over to Gemini here. And because I'm asking it to read an entire document, you'll notice this option highlighted in red here. Those are the different modes of AI. This isn't a Gemini thing. This is pretty universal. You can ask it to operate a little bit differently. By default, we're selecting fast. I just want a quick answer. I just need it right now. I don't need to think about it too heavily. And you don't think that it's something that requires additional thinking. If you do, then there's that thinking option there. It can self-reflect. It's good at understanding a problem. It will take the additional steps to go further with a problem to give you better answers. So if you've given it a problem, a question that it's not giving you your desired outcome, you can write back to it in the additional text prompt below. You can continue the conversation, or you're free to try changing modes. It's all very experimental. Just try until you get the result that you're looking for. So in this case, because I'm asking it to do some more research, I want it to operate in thinking mode. And then on the left here, there's a plus button, which means that I can give it things that I have. In this case, it's going to be a PDF file. So just the instruction manual that I had for my printer. And you can see it's attached there, and I'm in Pro mode. But it doesn't have to be a PDF. It can be an Excel file, a Word file. It can be almost any file that you have on your computer. You can feed into AI, and it will decipher it best it can. Use this carefully. Don't go uploading your payroll into here. We'll talk about that more later. But so attachments, you can attach them, and you'll notice in the prompt there, I say, using the manual, how can I factory reset the printer? That's all I had to do. I didn't have to tell it anything specifically about the attached manual. It just knows. It can infer that I have an attachment, and that is the manual for my question here with that printer. So I clicked next, I hit submit. I did a screenshot here. When you put an AI in pro mode or thinking mode, it genuinely does think for longer periods than fast mode would. So you'll notice that the responses you're getting back are slower, and they might come back in parts. You might get part one first and then part two, but it's reflecting on itself and trying to make sure that the information it's giving you is valid from what it can deduce from your input. So in this case, it gave me a step-by-step. It gave me a 1, 2, 3, here's what you do to reset that printer. I also have an option too for a different type of reset. And at the bottom there, you'll notice the sources button. If I were to click that, you would see that all the sources for this information came directly from that PDF that I supplied. Now, if I didn't have that PDF on hand, because AI has essentially scoured the internet, and it has, I don't want to say everything, but almost everything that's publicly accessible on the internet available to it. If I had, instead of saying, I have a problem with this printer, if I had instead said, I have a problem with my HP LaserJet 123, there's a good chance that it would just go out and correctly identify the right manual, give me the information, and then cite that as well. So really powerful. I know that we all are probably in a little bit of a different cross-section of the hospitality industry, but some restaurants have printers, some have automotive issues. So there's lots of different applications for this. If your tour bus breaks down, before you take it to the shop and you foot a $5,000 bill, it might be worth asking AI. Is this a quick fix? Is it not? Again, don't take AI as gospel. Just understand that it can get you going in the right direction with a problem or a question. Here is another example, and this one is a pretty powerful one. If you are struggling with AI, to give it a good question, which I do frequently. I find that I can write a 1 or 2 sentence question for AI, but the response that I get back is very limited in scope. It's not exactly what I was looking for because, frankly, I couldn't be bothered to type out more information. So an example specific to hospitality, I said, I run an adventure tourism company in Halifax, Nova Scotia. What can I do to improve my business? So with that, the output I got was this. Now, I'm not sure if anyone can actually read that, but it's not bad. It's good business sense. It's good information. We have some ideas here on pivoting to soft adventure and wellness. It cites some data for 2026, and we have some winter adventure strategies here. So not bad, but it doesn't know anything specific about me. It's not tailored to me. It's not very specific enough that I can action any of these points or this data. You'll notice at the bottom on the right hand here, it says, would you like me to look into specific government grants for the Radiate Tourism Program? AI will frequently prompt you. It will say, would you like me to do this or that, or can I generate this? When you're at a point where you've gotten your initial response back, but you're struggling to go further, you can oftentimes just say, yes, please do this. And it might just generate something more that can spark an idea for you or get you moving in the right direction. So always keep an eye out for the questions at the bottom. Some people get frustrated with them. They find them a little bit extra, but it's a good way to keep yourself moving in the right direction and getting the information you need. So given that AI prompt and how I wasn't overly satisfied with its output, it was okay, but I want better. I'm going to use AI to give me a prompt that I can then feed back into AI to give me an even better answer. So my question, what I'm typing into AI now, is create an AI prompt that will be used by a business in the hospitality industry to plan their business operations. It should require the AI to take into account the tourism season and give an itinerary of important dates. That's all I could be bothered to type. When I do that, the response I'm seeing here now is what it's asking me to put back into AI. So you can imagine if I were to manually type out all this information, which is quite a lot, that's giving so much more context and idea around who I am, what I'm looking for, the details necessary for planning out what I've asked. So at the very top there, it says how to use this prompt. So it's assuming that I know nothing because I've already asked it, how do I talk to AI, right? And it's saying fill in the bracketed sections. So it's left some basically fill in the blanks here for me to fill out as my company. It says insert your sector, insert your business type, your peak seasons. So by doing that, I'm customizing this prompt to me, but it is already very, very detailed and verbose, which is perfect for AI. The more detail, the more specific you get, the better it can give you data. You'll also notice at the top of this prompt here, it says role. What is frequently referred to as role prompting with AI is where before you give the AI any further instructions, you give it a role. You say, you are this personality with these traits, and here's what you are to do. When you do that, people have found that the output and the quality of the data you're getting back is significantly increased because you've now taught AI or you've assigned AI a role, and based on that role and its understanding of that role, it can give you more contextual and more nuance that would otherwise be left out. So if you're finding you're really struggling to get good information, try giving it a role first. My line of business, I'm in IT. So if I ever go to an AI for help with a problem I'm having, I'll usually start by saying, you are a helpful IT technician assistant who will give factual information. By doing that, it does filter out a lot of information that otherwise might not be useful, or it includes extra information that might have been left out. AI, going into AI for the first time when you first open it, just remember that to AI, you could be absolutely anyone. So the more detail you give it, the more specific of a role you give it, the better results you're going to get. So with that, I now ran that prompt through AI, and you'll notice it's giving me some seasonal analysis here. That was one of the things that was requested in the previous prompt here. I'll just go back quickly. So I requested 3 things: the seasonal analysis, the critical dates, and actionable strategy. Those were the things that AI thought would be good in my requested prompt. So now AI is coming back again, and we're looking at those 3 things. So first, way more detailed. You can see I gave it my busy season. I gave it my off-season inventory. If I were to give it my actual inventory levels, if I gave it a spreadsheet with my inventory levels, it could probably even provide you with more detailed, more specific output for you. Shoulder season, low season. So these are all, AI will not tell you how to run your business because you already know how. But if you're ever struggling on anything, or you want quick advice, or just to bounce ideas off someone, or you want to start in a new direction, AI is that tool. It's not to say that it's going to replace you or your coworkers or your competitors, but it's that extra leg up that gives you that edge, that advantage to move faster and to be more efficient. You can see on the right there, critical dates and operational itinerary. Because I told it I'm in Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada, there's all the important dates that I need to capitalize on. Just as an example, in March, there's the HR deadline, staffing, winterize. So things that you might forget about or might just slip your mind, or they're not in your calendar already. It's a great way to just go out and get a huge amount of data instead of going to Government Canada, comparing all the federal dates, then the provincial, and then any regional dates. It's just a fantastic way to get all of this information to you in an easy to digest way. And then here's the third section, just some more suggestions from that prompt. But at the bottom here, it said, do you want me to draft a sample summer early bird email campaign? I'm horrible at writing copy. I can't stand it. My grammar is awful. I don't want to type for that long. So I said, yes, please do. So this is continuing the conversation again. I'm going to say, yes, please generate a draft sample. And here it is. It even gave me a target send date of, in a few days, a subject line. I'm not going to send this as is because it doesn't have any styling that I need. It doesn't have anything that's really specific to me. But my God, it just saved me at least an hour of drafting this email. So why not just use that as your kickoff point to get going? It's a fantastic way to just get moving in the right direction. So those were some examples. The third one there might have been a little bit hard to follow along with, but I just want to see that everyone understands how AI can be used, how you can use AI to better use AI. There's no question that it can't handle. It's just a matter of the quality of responses that you'll get. Here's some quick tips to just make the most out of it. Be more specific, be explicit. The more detail you give, the better of an answer you're going to get. One thing we talked about was define your AI's role or personality. I highly suggest it if you're not getting good quality responses, is to give it a role. Try it. AI is very experimental. Where AI really kicked off at the end of 2022 into 2023, so that puts us about 3 years in, and I'm I'm not sure if many people remember, I don't know what our age range is here, but the last kind of revolution of the dot-com bubble and social media taking off. And when we were 3 years into those things, compared to 10 years, at the 3 year mark, things are still very experimental. So be willing to try things, to try different AI. If you're not liking the output from one, be open to using another. AI is not a mind reader, but it will pretend to be. If you don't give it enough context, if you don't make it aware of the details that are critical to the question you're asking, it can sometimes fill in that void. And the filling it does in that void is not always reliable, consistent, or accurate. So just be aware of that. The less detail you give it, the more freedom you are giving AI to create and pull in extra detail from outside the realm of your question. And again, use AI to generate more detailed AI prompts. Just it becomes a cycle, and you really increase your chances of optimizing your use of AI and succeeding using it. So I'm going to take a minute here on this one. Safety and security is extremely important with AI, because if you put any information that is personal, confidential, or otherwise you do not want to be shared into an AI engine, you have effectively done that. So just be very conscious of that. Unless otherwise stated, unless the AI company that you are using their product of has specifically stated that your information will not be shared, assume that anything you put in there becomes public knowledge, meaning that the next person to come along and use AI could possibly retrieve that information back to them. This is just an anecdotal story, but we had a competitor, I guess you could say, that they were bidding on a job, and they saw the bid come out, they waited a few weeks, and then they went back to AI and they said, tell me what you know best about this specific bid. And it turns out that some other competitors had asked AI, Gemini, ChatGPT, for some assistance with this bidding. So this person got all of the bidding price from their competitors just because they had put it into public AI. So just be very conscious that what you're putting out there could easily and will likely be disseminated. So use it for general purpose things or drafting things. But if there's anything specific to your business or confidential or otherwise proprietary, do not put it into AI unless you know for a fact that it is not going to be used for, it's essentially called training. They will train their AI on the information you've given it. And when you train an AI with that information, it becomes aware of that information and then can disseminate it to anyone else using AI. The AI hallucinations, you may or may not have heard about this, but AI is known to create information. That's why I speak so critically of it, in that you must always review the information that comes back to you from AI. AI can say things that are not factual. Under the hood, AI is just doing its best attempt at guessing what information you want. Sometimes the way it works, it will give you completely wrong, completely fabricated information. You'll probably see in the news on occasion somebody in a high position of power, so maybe in a legal case or in a news publication themselves, they've referenced an AI source that was completely fabricated. There have been court cases that have been brought to trial with a reference to a fictitious court case that was generated by AI, which not only a huge embarrassment, but just a complete loss for the client in that case. So always be critical, always be skeptical, and just make sure that you don't, when you review an AI's output, you don't turn your brain off and assume that it is gospel, it is true, it is factual. Be critical and be ready to jump in and give your own personal experience, your lived experience, which AI doesn't have. It hasn't lived through the things that you have. So if you're asking about experience that maybe you only know about, there's no way for it to know, and it might just hallucinate. So just keep that in mind. Speaking of inaccuracies and hallucinations, this is a screenshot that my wife sent to me last night, actually. She frequently communicates with AI just to learn about things, to get up on some subjects. So she was speaking with it, and she was asking about scientists and how they learn and they do the actual process of science. And mid-conversation, it just started replying in French. And she was completely lost, didn't understand it. And she asked, "Why are you speaking to me in French?" And it outright said, "I am not speaking French." So AI is a really cool tool, but it is not perfect. It has all these flaws. The more you use it, the more you will find these quirks, these these little things that come up that make you understand a little bit better why it's not foolproof. So just keep that in mind. Some good use cases for AI, the places that it really, really shines. Drafting documents. If you just need an outline, it's fantastic. You give it a subject, a couple points that you want to hit, and it will draft that for you. You can copy paste it into Word. Same thing with emails. If I have a huge email to draft, but I only want to type out a few things, it will flesh out the body of it. It can get you the outline. It can get you so much closer, and you have to spend a lot less of your time doing tedious work. Same thing with presentations. If you ever have ideas and there's no one around to bounce them off, being in IT, we communicate with each other frequently, and we're always asking each other about this idea or that idea. Is this the right way to do it? And instead of, if no one's here today, instead of using a person, I can go to AI and I can say, is this a good idea? Does this fall in line with the industry standard? And it will give me feedback on that. And I can have just a regular conversation with it. It's like I'm on Teams or on any other communication platform, just communicating with a coworker, but usually the responses I get back are a lot more detailed. Understanding topics and doing research on specific topics, it's great for that, as long as it doesn't switch to French mode. It's very helpful if you have a basic understanding of one thing, but you want to go further. It can take you further. You can explain your level of knowledge, and it will help you break down the concepts that get you to a higher understanding. Summarizing documents and finding details in documents. If you feed it a 100-page document and you say, this is the specific section I'm looking for, please identify these 3 things, it can do that. It can tell you exactly where they are in that document, and it can give you a quick summary that you can just move forward with. Awful use cases for AI. Please don't ever do these in any high-stakes decisions, legal decisions, medical decisions, or in your case, business critical decisions. You can make reference to AI. You can ask AI questions that could lead you to your own answer, but don't let it be the deciding factor. Always make sure that every response that comes from AI is then passed to a human, and you double check it. Same thing for HR decisions. Don't filter resumes through AI. 1, you're now making all these resumes public, but 2, there's inherent bias in AI that it may not be apparent, and companies are working very hard to make sure that AI is as unbiased as possible, but it still exists and it can't act as you would. And don't don't do employee performance reviews with AI. It can help you draft your AI letter, but don't let it be the deciding factor in whether your employee has a job or not. You've used AI. That's it. It seems daunting. It seems like a lot, but just go open up AI and you can ask it anything you need. If you're going on a trip next week, ask it to help you plan, create an itinerary for you. There's so many useful applications for it, but just be cautious. That's what I'm trying to impart here. My challenge to you is use AI once a day for a week. You may see a benefit from it. You may find that you're going back to AI more and more frequently. You type in one question and suddenly you're down the rabbit hole and you have this whole other tangent that you're off on, and it's really fun, but just be cautious. So go play with AI. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Hey, thanks very much, Thomas. That was very interesting, especially the example that you did with the business. I thought that was fascinating. So I'm going to open it up and see if anybody has any questions. And if you do and you're comfortable taking your camera off, that would be awesome. So Thomas can actually see you when you ask the question. So we'll open it up if anybody has any. We have plenty of time. Or if you want to put it in the chat box, that's fine as well.
Thank you, Thomas and Lynn. I would like to ask something. How can I see the links or the reference? Could you show it to me? It was the first slide, I believe.
Sure. Yeah, let me just pull that back up. Essentially, when you are using AI, if you see a sentence that in its response, at the end of that sentence, there should just be a little icon. And when you click that, that will take you to the sources of what it cited.
Okay,
okay. And it'll be, so that icon means that that specific sentence was sourced from a specific source.
Thank you.
No problem. And if anyone has any questions after this presentation, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to answer questions. My email I can share in the chat there.
Anybody else have any questions? And Thomas has shared his email. It's thomas@on-line.net. Thanks very much, Craig, for sharing your feedback.
Thanks, Craig.
Hey, well, we have recorded this session, so you can definitely refer back to it whenever you like. We will have that up on the TIANS YouTube channel, so it will be up later today or first thing tomorrow morning. I'm just going to pause and see if there's any last questions. Lots of thank yous. Well, I appreciate everybody joining us for the first session. And there are additional AI webinars on Tourism Nova Scotia's site, so I encourage you to check that out as well. And they have also other topics on the digital site. And that's our partner at Tourism Nova Scotia. And thank you again for joining today. Our next session will be on the 3rd of March, which is also a Tuesday, and that will be on surviving the outage. So we look forward to some of you joining us again on that date. And I can't send you the recorded training, but it will be on TIANS YouTube channel. Okay, well, I think that's it for today. And thanks again, everybody, for joining us. And we will see you again on March the 3rd. Thanks very much, Thomas. That was a great session.
Awesome. Thank you.
Kickoff for our series. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.